Civil society groups campaigning for the resignation of Johannesburg Mayor Kabelo Gwamanda are this morning going to share the steps that they will be taking against the mayor. The city has seen numerous service delivery protests under Gwamanda's tenure. Newzroom Afrika's Ziniko and Mhlaba has been keeping a close eye on this one. Ziniko, good morning. Tell us more as the fate of the mayor continues to hang in the balance.
Good morning to you, Iman. Yes, of course, those organizations which have been calling for Mayor Gwamanda to step down in the next 57 minutes or so, they'll be telling us what exactly is it that they'll be doing from today going forward. To understand that there is a big rally being organized for this upcoming weekend where all civil society groups and of course some inner city federations, have been called upon to join, that voice that's calling for Mayor Gwamanda. We spoke to some residents yesterday as we're building up and of course focusing and tracking this particular story and just gauging whether the voices which have been calling for Mr. Gwamanda are shared across the residents themselves. So one of the things that came out of those conversations was the state of the city itself in terms of sanitation, in terms of cleanness, in terms of crime, and of course just behind us you've got those provincial pathology services offices, as you can see that back there in minibus taxi. But just under these trees you can see the state of cleanness. It's not so convincing. You can tell that nothing has been done in terms of collecting refuge, but also of course these gentlemen that have been trying to collect and burn the refuge that you see there. So I'm joined now, Iman, by Wayne Divanachu, who is from Outer is part of those organizations that are calling for Mayor Gwamanda to step down. I'm going to bring him in. Mr. Divanachu, thank you very much for your time. You are making a call for Mr. Gwamanda to step down. You've tabled your reasons, but one will say we are not seeing mass protest from the residents, from the township, from the inner city federation themselves, in terms of residents sharing the same call with you. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I think they are, as you were alluding to earlier. The residents are getting fed up. The infrastructure of the city is collapsing. There are billing errors. We've just got reports on that now. In the latest July invoices, we've seen the city rather turning to push additional costs onto its residents, especially in the prepaid meters for additional service charges. They haven't applied their mind. They haven't engaged with the people sufficiently. And it's time for change. We're not just calling for Mayor Gwamanda to go, but his entire mayoral committee. Look, we live in a democracy, but protest action is one of those elements that we need to get the people to come and voice their concerns and views. And that's why we're having this protest action on Saturday morning.
I mean, looking at how Mr. Gwamanda was elected into office, obviously he was getting support from political parties such as the ANC and many others. Have you reached out to those organizations to express your frustration so that maybe they can be able to hold their own mayor accountable in the executive?
I think it's no secret the powers that be, the political heads, understand this issue. We even hear recently a media conference by Action SA working with the ANC to have him removed. So this is a cross-sectional issue. Our message is also from this Joburg Crisis Alliance and all its members is going to go right the way to the top, to the presidency. We cannot allow the economic hub of South Africa to get into this gross state of disrepair, and it is in a gross state of disrepair, lack of good leadership management, shunning civil society. We have to have a different style of leadership if we're going to fix the city.
Johannesburg has been in this state for a very long time. Yeah. Gwamanda got into office just almost a year ago. We've been talking about the state of Johannesburg in this state, in this context, for over 10 years. Why now? Why are you deciding to take action against the executive head? Don't you think maybe there's a problem within the system or the governance generally in its own entirety?
It's a multifaceted challenge issue. Yes, he might have inherited a city that was not in a good state, but what we expect of an executive mayor is to reach out to civil society and say, how do we collectively address this? What we don't want to see is a mayor coming in, as he has done, and does nothing about the report that comes out on the building that killed 77 people, died in that fire. There are people in the city that are implicated in dereliction of their duty and that there's no accountability. Well, that rests now with the mayor and he's doing nothing about it. The time it's taking to fix Lillian Goya street that blew up, it's taking far too long. The civic centre is still empty. It's a minor repair. You need to get people back to work. So it's very difficult to deal with issues, to deal with queries, to deal with building plans and so forth. So if he was a good mayor, he would have gone a long way down the road in addressing a number of those issues. The billing queries, the billing problems that we're having, it's actually not getting any better. He's had a year and he hasn't shown his colours.
I mean, he's been mum on this particular point, has not been responded, has not reacted to these calls. How far are you willing to go with this call? How long are you planning to go to make these calls? Are you going to take any legal steps maybe going forward, or you'll keep engaging the public and just creating awareness about this issue that you guys are raising?
Look, public awareness and engagement is one thing. So this is just one element of it. Dealing with issues like this, if there is a legal element to it and an opportunity, we will look at those. So it's a multifaceted approach. We'll be approaching Treasury, we'll be approaching COGTA. We have a new minister there now in Mhlaba, and others. And I think COGTA has been remiss in its oversight on the dereliction of duty of a lot of municipal management, by the way, across the country. Yeah. But this is the economic hub. We should have a vibrant city that is working. It is broken and it is also broke. So we have to fix that. And there is a way to do it. But it certainly isn't going to be when the mayor shuts the door on civil society and doesn't want to engage.
If he does step down, and if you get your wishes as the civil society groups, that leads us to political instability, because we'll have to elect a new mayor. And if a new mayor of Johannesburg, how are you going to take responsibility then as organizations for that political instability? Because a mayor will have to be removed and a new mayor will have to come in.
Yeah, well, we've had a number of mayors since 2016, I think about 9 now. So it's not good. We want political stability. We want management stability. But you also want the right management, a professional management, people that understand the vision and the work that has to be done to fix Johannesburg. It needs to be fixed. And if he's not going to do that, well, it doesn't help leaving him there. So yes, the instability is there, but it's created by the political powers that keep interfering. I mean, we've seen the JRA CEO being removed. He was a competent person. People put into those positions that are not fit for those duties. Why is that? I mean, we've seen the budget being passed and we don't have enough funds put into infrastructure. What we've asked for the city is to do a clean slate, do a zero-based budgeting approach and deal with the inefficiencies that you have, deal with the waste, get rid of the 30% of lost electricity, fix the city and keep us informed and work with us. If we do that properly, we'll get there.
Very lastly, Johannesburg is being governed now under coalition governments or trade-ins between political parties. There is no party that has an absolute majority. So are you concerned about that? And do you think what you just explained right now is something that's needed to govern Johannesburg? Is that possible under the current political dynamics, which were the outcomes of the elections?
It's always going to be difficult and challenging, and what we ask the political powers to do is to put their egos in the pockets and to find the right people to manage the city. Get the levels of professionalism where they should be. Get the collection rates up in the debt management of the city. Remove the illegal connections. Deal with the waste management. There's so many facets to it. So this is not a silver bullet approach, but it starts with leadership. It starts with leadership sharing its vision with the residents and the businesses and getting them on board, because collectively we can do a lot. For instance, we approached City Power a while ago and said, we will help you make sure that there's eyes and ears on all the substations to stop the vandalism. They didn't accept our invitation to discuss a solution in that regard. That's one issue. If we're going to keep having the door slammed in our faces as civil society, then we have to bring these protest actions. We will engage with presidency, we'll engage with COGTA, Treasury, everybody we can to make sure that pressure is brought to bear to get the management of the city correct again.
Mr. Divanesh, thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That's Mr. Wayne Duvenesh there from Outer, one of the organizations that are calling for Mayor Gwamanda to step down, just explaining to us, the idea of having, Mr. Gwamanda stepping down and how it is going to assist in terms of ensuring that the city of Johannesburg, is taken back to its glory as far as infrastructure, as far as services, as far as it's concerned. So with the other groups, Mr. Duvenesh will be sharing with us what is it that they will be doing from now on going forward as they continue making that call for Mayor Gwamanda to step down.
Again, another story. We'll wait to see how it all unfolds. We know there's a lot of political intrigue behind the scenes as well. Ziniko, thank you very much for that update.